Avoidants have no rights. You see, if you're not present in the co-regulation, if you're not present enough to show up in a relationship, then if you're not happy with what someone else is doing, you don't have the right to criticize. You don't know what built up to an event to be able to understand the basis of someone else's behavior. If you're not present enough to ask a question, an informed question to understand why another person behaves, not just the behavior or the outcome, but the person behind it. And if you're not prepared to be accountable enough for your own behavior either, things that you have done that when you're called out, it's just crickets, it's just silence, then don't expect the other person to be prepared to expose vulnerability when you won't. You see, the avoidant loves to be able to make other people accountable, but doesn't want to be accountable themselves. That doesn't mean they can't be. The reasons why an avoidant won't be accountable, the reasons why they give you harsh judgment without presence or gaining the rights to have a voice, to have that privilege, is because it's a hardwired condition. Vulnerability as a child for them meant abuse, neglect, abandonment. So to make themselves available means pushing past fear. Now, this is a problem that the anxious exposes to the relationship. They allow far too much of the avoidance disposition, their nervous system responses, to become acceptable in the relationship, placing yourself in the echelon of importance, the hierarchy, below fear. Fear is above you in importance as the anxious. No, will account for the avoidance issues with inability to stay present. I'll self-abandon so that they don't feel challenged. No. Place yourself above fear. Make sure that you're out of reach to the avoidance so that if they're going to find you, they have to actually prioritize you above their fear. And that way, you're going to know for sure whether the avoidant is prepared to step up for you or step away. That way, you're putting yourself in a win-win situation. You're going to discover very quickly with that filter whether the relationship is sustainable in the long term, because self-abandonment leads to you losing your identity ultimately in the end, and the relationship will fail. The other thing to remember though, as the anxious, is to express your needs without dependency. Yes, expectation is important. We need to make sure that the avoidant is aware of what we need from them in the relationship, but to be able to express it in such a way that we're not dependent on it emotionally. If they don't do it, we can take ourselves away. We can hold that boundary. We can do it without getting upset. We know that an avoidant struggles to stay present. We know it's not necessarily their fault, it's their conditioning. We have conditioning that's not terribly functional as well as anxious. Everyone has their own cross to bear. If we're able then to say, this is my expectation, and I remove dependency from it, it allows us to then make that decision. Have they stepped up? Okay, great. If they've stepped away, I'm not going to chase. I don't have a dependency on it. I can take my business elsewhere. I can grieve the loss of the relationship and move on. Now, if this is where you're at now and you're realizing the avoidance not stepping up for you, but you can't let go, there are ways that we can establish this for you to remove the dependency on another person's behaviors and actions for your own self-worth. This is our cross to bear as an anxious. We chase. If you want to know how to relieve yourself of that burden, reach out and let's have a conversation about that, because there's a way. I've done it myself and I'd love to show you how.